Alright guys, what's going on? It's another beautiful day in Soho as per usual. I was about to say as Soho, but anyway guys, the main point of today's video, I'm gonna be replacing the radiator inside of the Datsun. Be able to get at least in front of the engine, that way I could at least degrease it, check out the belts, see what condition that they're in, see if there's any pulleys or belts that need to be replaced. So that makes it a lot easier for me. But we're gonna start off today by replacing the radiator, the hoses, and actually getting new coolant into the system altogether. I hope you guys do enjoy, and let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright, and as you guys can see right in there, I don't know if you guys are able to actually see, but that is the fluid actually coming in right now. So that's only what's being retained inside of the radiator. The rest of it I'm still gonna have to dump out from the actual engine block. All right guys, well, after much struggle, it finally came out. Honestly, I didn't think it was gonna be that complicated. When it came down to dealing with those hoses, which you see there, I actually have clamped down so that there's no more oil leaking. This was the OEM hose, which is for the lower part, and the upper hose, which was up there, I actually already took out. But those oil lines that were connected down there are just pretty much rotted at this point. So I'm gonna be replacing those while I'm down here. So now that I was able to go ahead and get the radiator off, I can actually get a good look from the front end of the engine, and it's actually relatively not bad. Obviously there's some old oil and old grease on there sitting there, so that we can go ahead and clean off. We're gonna actually take off the fan now that we took off the shroud. So we can take off the fan, the clutch for it, that way we can actually get easier access to what we're trying to achieve. The old water pump, replace it with the new water pump. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and place those oil lines that are down there, the sander and return lines that connect to the radiator, and then we'll go ahead and get the new radiator mounted. So I'm gonna go ahead and unbox the new radiator, and I'll go ahead and compare what the old brass one looked like compared to what this new one is gonna look like, which honestly, I have no complaints. So this is a new radiator that I got, and it is from DNA Motoring. So it was on a budget type of deal when I ordered this. I mean, honestly, DNA Motoring, it's kind of a hit or miss depending on what you order from them. So it's a lot of styrofoam. So this is the new radiator that's right here. Just a lot of bubble wrap. And this is the ASMR section of the video. If you guys are not into ASMR, then you guys are weird, but if you're into it, I fucks with you. Nobody else like bubble wrap? I like bubble wrap. Yeah, that's a new radiator already. At this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and bring up the factory brass radiator, that way you guys can see the comparison. Sorry if my hair's a mess, sorry if I'm sweaty. It's hot, it's in the desert. It's 112 degrees right now, and it just gets hotter throughout the day. All right, so you guys can see that's our nasty old raggedy I shouldn't be so harsh on this thing. For what it is, I mean, it's honestly not that bad, but this is the old brass radiator. As you can see, some of the outlets for the lower hose is actually completely bent in. So really, this needed an upgrade. I mean, especially when you compare it to what this is. Man, that's a huge upgrade, so. Alright guys, so jumping ahead a little bit, as you can see, I actually did already get the fan and the clutch out along with the actual pulley. So all that's left there is pretty much just the belt, and this is actually the water pump, this whole little cast block here. So we had to take out these bolts and take it out and then we'll get it replaced. But before I do that, I'm gonna do a little bit of cleaning in here. You can see there's all this nasty gunk and oil and grease around here. So I'm gonna get a wire brush. I'm gonna hit this real quick. That way I can degrease it. That way I don't get any of it coming inside of the engine block when I end up removing the water pump. Other than that, guys, it is looking a lot nicer. Well, not nicer, but a lot easier to work with now that I can actually, you know, see the full engine. And I don't know, it's just crazy to see it from a different perspective, guys. And I just wanted to go ahead and make a comparison for what the old water pump is and what the new one is. But you can see the old one is really greasy, grimy, but it's not until the inside that we look at it is where it matters. So when you look at the insides of it, you can see that it's actually really rusted on the inside. It's a lot of it is surface rust. See, the old gasket that was on there is pretty bad, but the new one, nice and shiny, which is a plus for us, which is something that I like because it's new. But the inside, you can see what the inside should look like. So just as a comparison, the two sitting right next to each other, you could see how the new one looks and how it should look when it's brand new versus years of wear. And this has actually been on there since production, so over 40 years at this point that this has been on the car. So over here you guys can see I actually was able to get all that nasty grease and dirt. And oh, there's Oreo. What's up, bud? Came to tell everybody how you helped me clean. He came asking for attention midway through the video, so but anyway, you can see we got all of the nasty grease and stuff out. I actually used a pretty heavy-duty degreaser, but other than that, I'm pretty glad with the end result. I mean, honestly, being able to get all of that nasty gunk-looking stuff out. So I used this Purple Power heavy degreaser, which if you guys are looking to use a good degreaser, I would probably recommend this, because honestly, this thing was pretty reliable. Now, I'm not even gonna lie. But all in all, it did a great job of getting all the grease and all that old dirt, oil, debris off of there. Alright guys, so as you might be able to tell, I actually finished installing the water pump along with the pulley assembly and the clutch and the fan, so it's all back in there. Oreo was assisting me with this. If you guys can see him in the background, I don't even know what he's doing. Hey, 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 what are you doing? What are you doing? Hello? What are you... but besides that, everything is reinstalled onto the car, so that whole assembly is ready to go. All that's left to do is go ahead and put the radiator back on, and then it should be ready, and the cooling system on the Datsun will be all ready to go. By the way, this is like 3 days later. I didn't finish the process immediately. It did take a while for me to actually complete this, so mind me if my hair is different, or I'm wearing different clothes, or it just looks different times of the day. I am sorry about that. But let me go ahead and get the radiator mounted, and then once that's done, the cooling system on the Datsun is all set to go. Alright guys, well, the radiator is in. After a little minor adjustment, I actually had to use my drill to do a little bit of remodeling on the holes for the mounting of the radiator. But nonetheless, it works fine now. I just had to go ahead and widen the gap on one of the holes. But other than that, it's already been torqued down. Everything is mounted up. All the hoses are hooked up. Transmission cooler is ready to go. Everything's bolted, all set. Dirty hands. Now we just have to fill this thing up with coolant, and then we're done for today. So give me a sec and let me go ahead and start filling this thing up. Alright guys, so I am in my car, and you might be wondering why I'm wearing a different shirt or why I'm in my car. That's because I just came back from going to AutoZone and picking up a custom radiator hose that I ordered, because of course it wouldn't be one of my videos without me having messed something up. So in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I ended up messing up, but basically the lower radiator hose got pretty much chewed up by the alternator. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like, but let me go inside first. Let me go ahead and change my shirt because I just woke up. It's early in the morning, so I ordered this part yesterday, that way it would get here today. But let me show you guys what I messed up on, or at least I don't personally believe it was my fault. It was my fault for not having checked for clearance, but it's also, you know, not my fault because, you know, it was my fault. It was my fault. We're just gonna say it's my fault. I don't want to, you know, Nissan engineers, what's up? It was my fault. Oh well. You can see that this is the lower radiator hose, and you can see right there, that right there is where the alternator is actually touching. The radiator hoses, they actually expand because of the pressure that's built up. So obviously this hose expanded a little bit, but because of the way it expanded, it ended up shifting this bottom part of the hose forward towards the alternator. Thus, whenever the alternator was spinning, it's not going to spin right now, but when it was spinning, it basically just completely tore a hole. This one was from G+, so shout out G+ for these. Unfortunately, when I ordered these were made to fit the OE spec of the OE brass radiator. So the brass radiator is slightly smaller, I mean, in diameter wise. It's slightly thinner than this new aluminum one. This new aluminum one is a little bit bigger. That little difference is what caused this thing here to basically get chewed up right there, if you could see. So that got chewed up from the alternator fan, the little alternator blade that sits on the outside of the alternator. So I ended up actually ordering a custom hose, which is one that basically it's flexible, it's adjustable. I ordered it and it came from Continental. So shout out Continental for that. So this is the new hose that I have on here. It is from Continental. So you could see these are little ridges that actually sit on it. And that's because it's actually has a spring inside of it. And you can see there is a lot more clearance now. Sorry, I have everything already put back onto the car, so it's a little bit harder to show you guys, but nonetheless, you could see it's already mounted up there. It's not backing off anytime soon. That's fully tightened. That's fully tightened, and it actually curves around the alternator. That way, it doesn't get stuck on or get chewed on by the little fan right here. So luckily, we got that fixed up. We got it fixed. It was an easy fix. It was a cheap fix, luckily. And at this point, all that's left to do is refill the radiator with new coolant, and we're pretty much all set. So after that, I mean, we're good. Hey guys, it's a little bit loud, but at this point I do have the engine going. At this point I'm just gonna go ahead and let it warm up. So once the engine is fully warmed up, I'll go ahead and check back, and that way we can see the temperature gauge, make sure that the gauge is working properly. All right guys, so looking at it right now, you can see that the oil temp gauge is actually moving, but my water temp gauge is not moving. So I'm gonna give it a little bit more time to let it go ahead and start getting there. But oh, actually you can see it's actually starting to move little by little, but it's getting there nonetheless. All right, so I mean we're relatively within the zone that we want to be. I mean, I've only had the car running for like maybe 2-3 minutes at this point, not too long. So I mean, all things considered, it's starting to run with the new oil change and the new coolant fully running through it from the radiator. So everything on it's running pretty well. The main premise of this all, the car is still running, it's not overheating, doing pretty well. So at this point, all that's left to do is we're gonna pretty much go ahead and do a test drive, but we're still working on the brakes. So I'm gonna wait until I finish installing the new Willwood brakes onto the car. But aside from that, guys, that's pretty much gonna be it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy the video today, go ahead and leave a like down below. Let me know what you guys thought about today's video. Or do you guys prefer it where I'm doing this and I'm just, you know, sort of vlogging just what I'm doing to the car? Let me know what you guys think. If you guys aren't already subscribed, feel free to go ahead and subscribe, join the family down below. But aside from that, guys, it's another beautiful day out here in Soho, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.